Good morning, everyone. This is Kathy Mason with Mason Works Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone today with Carolyn Chang. Hi, Carolyn. How are you?
I'm fine, Caroline, sweet Caroline.
Well, I'm so excited to get to learn from you because I think you're way ahead of me on this interviewing process. Plus,
Well,
I
it,
want everyone to know how wonderful this lady is. I think she's a sister from another mother, maybe,
yes,
because she also volunteered for Humanities Team. I worked with them for 3 years as
okay,
volunteer, and you worked with them for 2 years. So
yes,
we both have a love for oneness, and we'll
yes,
hopefully talk about that a little bit. And
sure.
she has this wonderful show, which I'm going to show right here, called awake to oneness radio.org, which she has been doing, I guess we said 5.5, 6 years. So,
Yes,
so Carolyn, how did you how did you get started with this? I mean, this is a passion, right?
yes, it is. It's definitely a passion. Everything I do is from my heart and spirit guided. It's like God, a spirit says do it, and
I mean,
I just do it.
boy, do I get that.
Yes, yes, yes. So basically, I would say my awakening to oneness was in 2007, and that started from quantum physics.
Oh,
It was What the Bleep. I was watching that. I
oh,
watched the entire documentary
uh-huh,
and even the extended version. So
uh-huh.
I was like fascinated, and I had never really heard of quantum physics, but I was fascinated. But it was one sentence that woke me up. It was, when I say woke me up, it was awakening from inside. It was not an intellectual awakening, it was a soul awakening. And that one sentence was mentioned by Lynn McTaggart, who
Oh,
is a great journalist. And she said, the biggest problem in the world today is the illusion of separation. And when she said that, something inside me woke up. And I'm like, that is so true. That is the biggest problem in the world today. If we all knew that we are one, and we are, this is a universal truth. This isn't even a belief. It's everywhere you look, you can see the truth of oneness, science, spirituality, ancient wisdom. The core of all religions is oneness. So it's an undeniable truth that we are literally all one. Having a unique experience. So God wants to experience everything through us. So we're all a tiny drop. And when I say we're a holographic drop, my favorite quote is Rumi: you are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. So each one of us is
so
all of God in a drop. And we're creating this reality. So all of this, it was that awakening moment was in 2007. And I tried, the funny thing, when I got it and woke up and I thought, oh, this is easy. Everybody can get this. So I tried to wake up people around me, and they were like, huh? I don't get, what are you talking about? I shared the movie. It's like I lent the movie out to people. I'm like, watch this. And they watched it and they're like, I don't get what you're talking about. So I was like, so then I had to realize, it's just like my awakening came from within. It was inspired, but it came from within. Everyone's going to wake up on their own term, in their own way. And it's going to be higher self. It's an inner awakening. It
right,
doesn't come from outside of us.
right.
So I like, okay, all I can do is share in love. Now, what got me to launch my show was my son transitioned.
Right.
He's in spirit, and it was the journey with my son was interesting because he almost transitioned for 3 years before he actually
Oh,
transitioned.
wow. Wow.
Yes, Yes. So in 2011, okay, he was diagnosed at 26 years old. He was diagnosed with congested heart failure.
Oh my
He'd been
God.
up until 26, for the first 26 years of his life, extremely healthy, active, played football in high school, just fine, you know. And then, and when he was diagnosed early, in February of 2011, but towards the end of 2011, he got pneumonia and he was severely ill on life support. And
Wow.
doctors had said to me they didn't think he was going to live. Now, at that moment, I'm awake, meaning I understand I'm a spiritual being creating my own reality. I'm creating all of this. But I said to myself, no, I'm not going through this. So after the doctors asked me if they could take him off life support, I said no. And what I did is I went upstairs. I was basically living in the hospital. He was in ICU on life support for about 4 or 5 weeks at that time. And I
Wow.
just pretty much lived in his ICU room. But I went upstairs to a quiet waiting room. I knew that hospital because I had been living there. So I just been like, touring the hospital. And I knew this little waiting room where nobody was ever in. And so I went to this little waiting room. I got a bottle of over-the-counter sleeping pills. Didn't have a prescription, so that's the strongest I could find in the pharmacy. And I wrote a suicide note. I said, I'm not going to bury my son. My son is going to bury me. I had a bottle of water. I had the bottle of sleeping pills, and I took the whole bottle, laid down on the sofa, and expected not to wake up here. But I ended up waking up here still. I'm still here. And but a miracle happened, not with me, with my son. A week after I tried to take my life, I'm still at the hospital. Now I'm a patient at the hospital,
Oh
and they
my God.
have me on 24-hour suicide watch. So that means there was an aide with me 24 hours a day.
Oh my
And
God.
they would allow me to visit with my son because he's still on life support. I never gave permission to take him off, so he's still on life support. So they allowed me to visit with him for about an hour a day with an aide by my side. So on one of these visits, I whispered in his ear. I
Wow.
said, his name is Kyle. I said, Kyle, please get better so we can both go home.
Oh wow.
That night, he pulled himself off life support. He pulled out the ventilator tube. He pulled out the feeding tube. He pulled himself off life support, and his vital signs were perfect. The exact words the doctor said is it was like he was never even sick.
Oh my God.
It
Fantastic.
was a true medical miracle. And so and a week later, we both went home. So uh, from that miracle, I promised God that we came home on December 30th, 2011. And we rang in the new year together. The next day was New Year's Eve, and we rang in the new year together. I promised God I would never, ever, ever stop thanking him. I didn't know what was going to happen the next day.
Right.
But I promised God that day because I was able to bring him home, and it was a true miracle.
Wow.
I said, I will never stop thanking you. No matter what happens, I will never stop thanking you for this miracle. And I've kept that promise. So when my son got ill again, and this time he got ill again in April of 2014,
Oh wow.
and he was taken to the same hospital in Philadelphia. It's a really, really good, one of the top 10 hospitals for heart transplant in the country. So he was taken to the hospital, and they did this time it was his heart was so weak. He needed a transplant. So they did a bridge, what they call a bridge surgery to get him to transplant. Now the surgery went textbooks, as they said. The surgery went very well. It was very, there was very hopeful information coming from the doctors after the surgery, but about a week after the surgery, there was complications. And from those complications, he did transition. Now, when he transitioned on July 1st of 2014, and the moment he transitioned, I was at complete peace. I was at peace because I knew, he wasn't going anywhere. I knew that he wasn't going anywhere. I knew it was his body was just a vehicle and it was worn out and it was time to go home. And I knew that it was his soul. Each soul, I believe, each soul comes in to this life experience in perfect divine timing, and each soul leaves this life experience in perfect divine timing. And I knew that it was a plan he and I had. I was reading Your Soul's Plan and Your Soul's Gift by Robert Schwartz. The last month he was on life support, in the last month of his life, I was reading those two books. And Robert Schwartz, who I met in person months later, I met him. He was speaking. He was speaking in Virginia Beach at the Edgar Cayce Center. Yes. So I went and I met him. And actually, even while Kyle was still on life support, I was emailing back and forth with Robert Schwartz.
Wow.
And yes, Robert happened to be my first guest when I launched my show.
Oh, wow.
So 6 months after my son's transition, Spirit woke me up in the middle of the night. It was 1:30 in the middle of the night. And this was January 7th of 2015.
Okay.
Spirit woke me up in the middle and said, just do it. And the just do it was to launch my radio show and to start a foundation in my son's memory, which is the Kyle Foundation. Now, the Kyle Foundation, Kyle is an acronym that stands for Keep Your Light Expanding.
Perfect.
And Kyle gave me his name. I did not. I knew I was having a boy when I was about 7.5, 8 months pregnant. I knew I was having a boy, and I had no name for him. And in that night, I had a dream, and the dream, he whispered the name Kyle to me. He said Kyle, and I believe he knew I was going to use his name as that acronym. Keep your light expanding.
Wow. That's so.
Yes, and he is the co-host of my show. I had talk about it. I just have so many amazing experiences to share. Okay, when Kyle transitioned, I knew I wanted to have a reading with a medium, but I told myself I'm not looking for a medium. The medium has to come to me. That medium has to find me. So when I launched my show, I didn't know what kind of guests. I knew I wanted guests like Neil Donald Walsh and also Greg Braden, the people that inspired me. I reached out to all of them to be guests on my show when I first launched my show. And of course, Robert Schwartz, who I had already had a relationship with. But I didn't know I was going to end up having psychics and mediums on my show. That I didn't know. So one of my guests recommended Suzanne Giesman.
Oh, isn't she
Oh
amazing?
my goodness, she's amazing. So I had her on my show as a guest in May of 2016. And after that show, I said, she's the one. So I emailed her after that show and said she had a long waiting list. I said, just put me at the bottom of the waiting list. When my turn comes up, let me know. So that was in May of 2016. But Kyle's birthday is in November.
Okay.
Now, Kyle's birthday that year happened to be on Thanksgiving Day.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was thinking a lot about him the week before Thanksgiving. So I emailed Suzanne and I just said, I've been thinking a lot about Kyle. His birthday's coming up next week. And she emailed me right back. I mean, as busy as she is, she emailed me right back and said, we're doing a reading on his birthday. Now that's Thanksgiving Day. I said, Suzanne, I don't want to take you away from your family on Thanksgiving Day. She said, she channels Sanaya, her
Yeah.
spirit guide.
Yeah.
Sanaya had already said to her before she got my email, Sanaya had said, you are going to do a reading for a mom that has a son in spirit on Thanksgiving Day. She didn't
Wow.
know who it was until she got my email. And when she got this reading was not a normal reading. Now she does hundreds and hundreds of
Yeah.
readings.
Yeah.
And she knew about a thing called EVP, which I had never heard of. EVP is electronic voice phenomena. Now, I had never heard of it. This is my first reading. It's all videotape. I'm videotaping it and she's recording it on her end. So there's two recordings of this reading. So as soon as she invited Kyle in, she heard this loud whooshing sound she had never heard before. And she was like, "What's that? Do you hear that?" I couldn't hear a thing live. And she kept saying, well, she's like, well, that's distracting me, but let's continue. And so she continues on and it gets louder. And she's like, you can't hear that? I was like, I don't hear sound. She says, well, it's coming from my computer and I've never heard this sound before. And then she said, yeah, Kyle says he's doing it. He's messing with the electronics. So she says, well, we got you. You know, that's distracting. But then she said, well, if you're trying to give us some electronic voice phenomena, when she said that, it went over my head. I didn't know what you were
What is
talking
that?
about.
Yeah.
I didn't know. So here's the thing. So after the whole session, she's hearing this swooshing sound. I'm not hearing anything.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So after the session, she sends me her audio and I have my video. So that was Thanksgiving. I didn't listen to it that day. I didn't listen to it till 2 days later. 2 days later, I listened to her audio because her audio is clearer than my video. And so I listened to her audio. You can actually, now in the audio, you hear the swishing. And she said that. She said, you will hear this in the audio. And I hear it loud. When you hear it, because people hear it now, you hear it loud as day. You were like, how could she not hear that? But there's a point, there's a spot in the audio where you actually hear Kyle's voice. You actually hear his voice. So I email her. I said, Susan, listen right here. I told her exactly where to listen to the audio. And she's like, oh my God. And she calls her husband, Ty. She's like, Ty, come over here. You got to hear this. So you can actually hear Kyle's voice in the audio from that reading.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Well, as long as you're talking about ways that Kyle connects with you, do you want to talk a little bit I don't want to change your
No, go ahead.
About Sonia Rinaldi's work.
Of course. Yes.
Before you do that, can you just wait 1 second? I want it. Someone's asking about Suzanne.
Okay.
I've got her book right here, one of them.
Yes. Messages of Hope. And one of her newer books is Still Right Here, which is really, if you have a loved one in spirit, yes, Messages of Hope. She has several wonderful books. Also, there's one of the Wolf story. But Still Right Here is a very good book for anyone to read that has a loved one in spirit. Yes, but she has.
This one is the metaphysical memoir of a most unexpected medium.
Yes.
I wanted people to know she was in the military.
Yes, she was. She was high ranking. High ranking.
And then all of a sudden, slapped on the shoulder. Oops.
Yes. But also, yes, I think Suzanne was the first medium I had on my show, and that was back in 2016. Then I had more mediums and more channels, and I got in contact. Another friend of mine told me, or another guest of mine told me about Sonia Rinaldi. Now, I had, you know what? Someone told me about Sonia Rinaldi a year before I had actually met her. And then I went to it was the Afterlife Symposium in Arizona, and that was in 2017 when I went to that, and I met Sonia in person and got to see her presentation and saw, because I'm thinking, I know this name, but I didn't really know what she did until I met her in person and actually saw her presentation. So then I met her in person. I was like, please be a guest on my show. So a few months after the symposium, she was my guest. And yes, so once I got in contact with her, Kyle goes to Sonia has shown up for Sonia so many times. I can't even count how many times. I have so many images of Kyle from spirit from Sonia. So
Okay,
it's
so
like,
wait. The people aren't going to know what that means. Okay,
okay,
so Sonia Rinaldi is in South America. It
yeah,
is Brazil or Argentina.
Brazil. She's in Brazil.
And
Yes,
she is a scientist who has created a way to capture voice from the other side and images from the
yes.
other side. Okay.
Correct. But let me correct you. Let me correct you. She is not a scientist.
Oh, she isn't? She's
She
a
is not a scientist. She is a researcher. And
okay.
she has been doing this research on her own for over 30 years.
It's unbelievable.
But she's not a scientist. She doesn't have a scientific degree. She's a researcher.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
Yes.
So I saw some of her images
Yes.
on Roberta Grimes.
Yes.
Did a presentation, and it was showing what the landscape looked like from the other side. And it was black and white.
Okay.
And it was all in Portuguese. This
Yes.
was several years ago. I
Yes.
love Roberta Grimes too.
Yes.
So anyway, so that's where I heard about her. But she's gone deep with your work, with
Yes.
connecting
Right.
with Kyle.
Right. Oh, yes. Kyle has shown up for Sonia many times. I have several images. Matter of fact, I put together, it's a 13-minute video clip I put together on my YouTube channel that I'll share with you, that you can share with your audience. But
Okay.
in that clip, you can hear Kyle's voice. I put the voice, I have the audio from Suzanne. I have that. You can hear Kyle's voice, and you can hear my doggy from Spirit. In that same reading with Suzanne, you can clearly hear Kyle was holding my dog Coco, who's in
Oh,
Spirit. Yes, Coco transitioned in this fall of 2007, and I haven't had another doggy since. And Kyle was holding Coco, and you can clearly hear Coco's bark in
oh,
that. And yes,
wow.
so I have clips from my reading with Suzanne that you can hear from Spirit, and I have images from Sonia Rinaldi, and I put them together in a video. So I have physical evidence for audio and images from Spirit of Kyle, and Kyle says he's very proud of the show, and he is my co-host. So he's here right now, because whenever I'm doing any kind of show, he's right here.
So
Yes.
do you feel so this is a good question now. Okay, he's right here, and I feel I just get a really dear friend pass, and
Okay.
she's around.
Yeah.
She's around, and I've had other friends pass. Do you feel that they're like bilocating where they can be sort of still around us, and they're doing something else in their other
Exactly.
dimension?
Exactly. You have to we think very linear. We think
Right,
time, and
right,
Einstein said over 100 years ago, time is merely an illusion, albeit a very persistent one. So we think in linear time. There is no linear time in spirit. They are omnipresent. So remember I said we are all of God in a drop. Now
right.
imagine when we leave our body and we go back to the spirit realm, everything you think of God, you think of the spirit. A spirit is omnipresent. So my son Kyle could be with me and my daughter who's in New York at the same time. So
Right.
we think too linear and we think too limited, but the
Mhm.
spirit is unlimited.
Right.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so and when he's your co-host, I mean, I feel like I get downloads all the time. I'll go to sleep and ask for something. I wake up, I've got the answer, and I'm psychic and intuitive anyway, so I there's always something going on. Um, do you feel like you also have angels around you and Kyle, or is he kind of your lead
Well,
guardian?
I believe we all have our loved ones in spirit around us. I believe, especially when you're thinking of them. They definitely, if you think of a loved one in spirit, they're there. So Kyle is a part of now my team, because we have guides, we have spirit guides, we have angels, we have our loved ones. That's our spirit team. And they're always with us. And then when you think of especially a loved one, they're like, I'm right here. I'm like, yes,
Well,
yes,
you
yes,
can tell because their personality. Like I remember when one friend died, beautiful man, and he was a character, and so stuff would happen. It was like, you jokester, what do you do? I mean, it was recognizable, right?
yes, yes,
So,
yes.
so
Well,
does Kyle do stuff like that?
oh yeah, I can. I was going to tell you a funny story. These are my favorite earrings. I wear them all the time, and I used to go to. I haven't gone in a while, but I used to go to hot yoga.
Uh-huh.
And one time I was at hot yoga, and after I was in the dressing room and I missed, I'm like, oh, let me go. So I went back into the room where we do the yoga. Nobody was in there. The lights were on because a lot of times we do yoga with the lights turned down, but the lights are up. I'm looking all over, frantically all over. And I'm thinking, oh, you know how you lose an earring. And it's my favorite pair. And I didn't find, for a long time, I was just like, okay, that earring is gone. You wouldn't believe where I found the earring. I
Where?
found it in Kyle's bathroom. You know how the light switch that goes up and down? It was hanging on the light switch. I go into Kyle's bathroom, which I don't go in there often because I have my own bathroom. But I go into Kyle's bathroom, which is now the guest bathroom, and right on the light switch, it's hanging like somebody placed it there. How could you lose an earring and it end up on a light switch? I know Kyle put it there. I'm like, thank you, Kyle. I love these earrings.
Yeah, it feels like sometimes you'll put something down and you'll go, I know I just had it there. And it
Yes,
went to another dimension and you just
yes,
go, okay, it'll show up when I'm supposed to have it again. I mean, I think if you really trust,
yes.
so you must have a very strong trust
Oh,
in God and this
yes.
whole experience.
Yes,
Wow.
yes, yes, yes. And to me, I say it's a knowing. For me, it's not a belief. I know we are eternal beings of light. We are sovereign, eternal beings of light. That's what we are. Now we have temporary life experiences that we create. Life is not happening to us; it's happening through us. Everything that we go through, no matter what it is, even losing a child, I don't even like to say losing. I use the word transition. If a
Right,
child transitions before us, which no parent, wants, but
right.
if that happens, it was a soul plan and it was something you agreed to before you came into this
Totally
life experience. And when
right.
we understand that, when we know that we are creating this life experience for our highest good, our limited human brain doesn't understand that, but our heart and our soul does. And so for me, I say it's a knowing. And
Right.
when you have that knowing, you have nothing but joy and peace because you know I'm creating this for my highest good. And I'm here for a reason. And I'm going to find out what that reason is and live my truth. And
Right.
so it's a great feeling.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Okay, so I want to go back to your show and see because we have that in common. I'm doing this show. It's not quite 2 years, but
Oh,
yeah, 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 2 times a week. Um,
yes.
and as you told me when we talked earlier, a couple days ago, that you pre-record yours because you tried doing live. I still
Yes.
accept Facebook, so
Yes.
the live
Yes. Yes.
for this.
Yeah, and see, when I started, it was 2015. There's a lot more. It's easier to do live shows now, and I could do live, but I kind of I'm comfortable now with the pre-record. So,
Oh, so now I mean, your guest level, you've got Laura Eisenhower, I mean, not that Neil Donald Walsh wasn't a great guest.
yes,
I worked with him too.
yes, yes, yes.
But no, I mean, you've had some amazing people on. Can you give us a fun story about, or one of your favorite stories that,
Well,
that
one of the
yeah?
one of my first guests that I got that's very well known, I got just from Facebook Messenger. I just messaged him. It was Reverend Michael Beckwith,
Yeah.
yes, very well known. And I didn't have an email or anything for him. And I messaged him on Facebook. I said, I'd love to have you on. And he messaged me right back. And and then, so I had him on. This is in April of 2015. So this is right after I launched my show. And he invited me to come to the Agape Revelation, which they have every year, which was happening that May. And he invited me to be his special guest. And I had never been to the West Coast. I had never been to LA. So that
Wow.
was very, very amazing and wonderful. Let me tell a fan of mine actually invited me to California again because I told him I really love Bashar. I don't know if you're familiar
Oh,
with
of
Bashar.
course.
I
Thank
love Bashar, and he actually
you.
bought me a ticket to see a Bashar event in Oakland, California this past November. Now listen
Oh,
to this. Now if you want to ask Bashar a question, you write your name on a piece of paper and you put it in a box. And then they shake it up and they pick. I was like one of the first they picked to ask Bashar a question. So it was like,
oh
yes.
my. Well,
So
I got introduced to Bashar from that movie Tuning In. I think
yes,
I got it in 2010 or
yes. Yes,
2010.
around 2010 is when I discovered
And
Bashar. Yes,
me too. So,
yes,
and brilliant, brilliant, concise,
yes.
easy, not complicated, not egoic.
And
Complicated.
funny. I think Bashar is so funny. He
Yeah.
had me laughing the whole time. I have a clip of that too, of me with Bashar. So I'll share
Oh,
that
that's
with
so great. That's
you.
so
Yes,
great.
yes.
Okay, so so was Michael Beckwith your favorite person then?
Oh, well, you know what? I get that question a lot. I don't have a favorite. I really don't. Every one of my guests is amazing. I've had Marianne Williamson as a guest, and she was running for the Democratic nomination.
World Unity Week, you were a guest, and I was also a co-host for
Right,
World Unity Week for Co-Creators Convergence, and I,
right.
I was in the later part of the day. You guys were the morning. You were the
Yeah,
morning. I was the afternoon. Anyway.
okay.
So I had people right after well, I had Sharon Rose and Brian Ridgway. I had a lot of amazing people
Yes,
that I got to work with too.
yes,
Very
yes.
good.
So I love them all. I really could never say I don't have a favorite. I mean, I don't have a favorite because I love all my guests and they're all uniquely different and we always have a wonderful conversation. So yes. And you probably have as many shows as I have because you do two a week and I only do one a week. And there are times I've taken a break. So I took a break in this past July and so I have no new show. So I only have, I would say, maybe 210 to 215
I'm
shows.
I'm getting close to you.
See, see.
Well, but now when you go to your awake to oneness radio.org, you'll see that she is it's controversial a little bit now. It's going to the next level. And so the other is, I mean, I think this is the time. It's the time of all the veils are gone
The
and
veils are
we're
lifting. The veils are lifting. And you're right when you say it's just since March where there are things I've known that I did not discuss on my show until March. Now okay, I can tell you the date. It was March 21st, 2020 when I realized we're at the beginning of the mass awakening. Now it's a beginning because we want it to happen overnight. It's not gonna. It's still everything down here in the 3D realm happens gradually. But I knew, Spirit told me it is the beginning. And once I knew that, then I'm like, okay, I've got to talk about everything and anything that is resonating with me as truth. Because now is the time not to be silent. Even
right.
though there's censorship like crazy now. over, social media. Doctors are being censored. I mean,
Right.
it's crazy censorship. But Spirit said, no, now is not the time to be silent. Now is the time to speak your truth and share your truth in love. And that's important for people to understand.
Hmm.
Speak your truth, share your truth in love and light. And if someone else, because since I've been doing it, I've never gotten really pushback on Facebook, mainly, not YouTube, but on Facebook. I'll post something and I'll get some people will be very cruel and unkind. I use the
Wow.
word unkind. And then I at first I started not debating, but I would say, really, then I got to the point, it was like, no. And especially if someone says something very unkind, like even hoping I die, seriously, things of that nature, I just make sure I delete the comment, I unfriend them, and I block them. That's
Wow.
if you
Wow.
can't, now I'll have a discussion. You can have a different opinion of mine than me, and I can have a discussion with you in love and light and respect. But if you can't approach me in a respectful, kind manner, I don't even engage,
Right. Right.
But
Well,
yeah,
that's ridiculous. The thing is, well, I don't know. I can just delete them. Can't.
yes. Oh, yeah, no, I delete the comment, but then if they're able to comment on my post, that means we're in some way we're friends. So
Oh,
I first unfriend them, delete the comment, and then block them so they can. I do three things.
oh,
Okay.
wow. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's serious
Yeah,
stuff.
and I do it in it's love. I'm doing it in love because I'm not engaging in that especially now. It's so important to keep your frequency high. Do not argue, do not debate, do not fight. That is what will keep us in this low density vibration, and we create our reality from our core vibration. So when you don't engage, share your love and light, share your truth in love and light, and it's fine to have a discussion in respect. You can be loving and respectful and have totally opposite. You could be a Republican and a Democrat, could have a loving, respectful conversation. Okay? So it's like,
That's perfect. Well, I want you to know that Ray Miller keeps adding wonderful comments here. Mary Reed is here. Noelle and Bob are
oh,
here. Zana is here. And Olivia's here. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. And, oh,
hi,
Terry's here.
everybody.
Hi,
Thank
everybody.
you.
So
Thank
you guys do, if you have questions, I mean,
you.
Caroline has so many ways that she could help you see you can see she's just joyful.
Thank
This is somebody who's well, I mean, that's the thing, is like we came here to experience and co-create with the universe at a
Exactly.
high level. And all of this mass media and everything, if you get caught in that, it's depressing. It's so
Yes,
heavy. You can't do what we're doing. What we're doing now is like, don't care about it, just gonna go do it, right?
right. Well, let me tell you again. See, again, I am not a psychic. I'm not a medium. I don't hear spirit
I did.
outwardly. It's an inward thing, and it started long. It's been my whole life because in September of 2001, so 19 years ago,
Uh-huh.
Spirit told me to turn off that news and don't ever turn it back on again. That's before I knew about oneness. That's before my awakening. And when I got that internal message, and it was like almost yelling, Spirit from inside, Spirit would say, turn it off and don't ever turn it back on again. And I didn't know why. And I said, why, aloud. I'm like, why? Got no answer. So, but I was obedient. I walked over to the television set. I turned off that news. I have not watched mainstream news in 19 years. I know
Mhm.
exactly what's going on in this world, but I do not watch mainstream news. And then I didn't find out until almost 10 years later why. And it was because of the frequency. It was because all the news wanted to do is keep me in a state of fear. and lower my frequency. And then I found, and then I 10 years later, I'm like, oh, that's why Spirit wanted me
Yeah.
to turn off that news.
Yeah. No, that's
Yes.
cool that you trusted. I mean, that's the thing. So right now for people that are going through, I mean, you are just a bright light. You're just delightful. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank
For people that are going through fearful times now, or have different, I'm trying not to be in the political conversation at all, but it's
you.
election year and it's coming up to November. So do you have any recommendations of things that they should do?
Well, basically, I'm not political at all. Never have been, don't ever plan to be. I'm not political because I do not label anything. Like I am registered independent. Okay, but I don't label. I don't follow any one religion. I have respect for all religions. I have respect for all political parties. I have respect for all because I understand I'm grounded in the truth of oneness.
Right,
So
right,
grounded, I don't label myself a religion. I don't label myself a political party. I don't even identify with the color of my skin because I know that this is just a vehicle. And I've had like 5 or 6 different cars of different colors. Okay. I look at my body as a vehicle for getting around. And in this particular time, I choose a brown body. Beautiful. And so I don't identify with any of those things,
beautiful.
So I would say for people to follow their heart. That's the best guidance I can say. Go within and follow your heart. But now is not the time to be fighting, to be debating, to be arguing your beliefs. And when we do that, even if I did that, it would mean I'm trying to impose my belief on another person.
Right, right.
All I do is share in love and light and tell people and I say inspire people to go within and tap into what is true for them and live your truth. But if we understand that we are all one but unique aspects of the divine, we all have a viewpoint and everybody's viewpoint should be respected. And
Right.
you don't have to impose, that's the word, impose your belief on another, and you shouldn't don't allow another to impose their belief on you. And that's what I've been coming against in this past few months, where people are trying to impose what they believe on me. I'm just sharing what I believe in love and light, and they're trying to impose. And I correct them right away. I'm like, no, that's your belief, and you are entitled to that belief. But it's not my belief, and you can't impose your belief on me.
Right, right. That's perfect. Well, I want to go back to what you said about the vehicle, this vehicle this time, because
Yeah.
I had a spiritually transformative experience in 2000, not 2000, it must have been 2005. And I
Okay.
was already seeing things and everything since being a little girl, so I was already out there.
Yeah.
And when I saw it was through a process that somebody actually was spotting me, because I guess they're afraid you're not coming back. So
Okay.
you're out of your body. You're way out. And
Okay.
what I got to see was how big you really are, and
Yes.
and the stream of source. So
Yes.
I saw myself as a tributary off of the stream of source of God, and
Yes.
then I saw this body was like this teeny weeny little ant in this huge spotlight river thing, and the river was me.
Yes.
And I was attached to the big one. And then
Yes.
after a while, I mean, at first I only saw that, and then I ended up seeing other tributaries everywhere. But at first it was just me and God.
Yes.
But then when I came back, the first thing I did was like, oh yeah, this one will work this time.
Yeah. 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 We design our vehicle. It's like going to the car store and going to the car lot, a dealership, and saying, "Okay, I like that color. I like that size because I'm 5'2", so I'm like I chose the female. We
A
have been
compact model.
Yes, we have lived every color. We have lived. We have been female. We have been male. We have done it. We have done it all. We've experienced it all, and we do that because we want to be able to see someone else's viewpoint. We have to live that viewpoint. So
Exactly.
we have been it all, and I think I'm like, and I always say, you know what? If you love cats, doesn't matter what color the cat is.
No.
No. If you love dogs, doesn't matter what color the dog is. If you love horses, I love horses and dogs. I'm not cats. Are like I love animals, but I'm not a cat person.
I got two cats.
But when you think of animals, we are the only species on the planet that divide ourselves by color. You know, when you think about that, really think about that. So yes.
Well, I think we're all different. Okay, well, this will really probably blow you out, but I think we're all different types of humans. I
Okay.
think we're all different hybrids. There's so many
Okay.
different species of humans here.
Right.
So
Yes.
that's why some people want a different teacher. Some people want because they're resonating more with their biology almost.
Yes.
So that, and they say that a lot about the abductees, that the
Yes.
abductees are all hybrids and
Right.
everything. But that's another subject. So,
Right, right.
which
So I believe
I love all.
not just on planet Earth have we lived hundreds of lifetimes. Believe we've lived hundreds of lifetimes in other star systems as well. All
Wow.
of us, each of us. Yes,
Okay,
yes,
so you are guided by spirit and Kyle, and
yes.
does Kyle, as your co-host, does he help you find guests?
He says what through Suzanne. He has said that he will, when I'm in conversation with the guest, he will implant like a thought or a
Uh,
question in my mind.
He'll
So
support
that's kind
you.
of how he operates. Yes.
That's so cool. Well, and so, do you feel that you'll be doing this a long time? I mean,
Oh, forever. As long as I'm breathing, I'll be doing this. Yes.
well, I mean, that's what this feels like. As soon as we had this pause, I'm calling the shutdown the pause before the reset. It
Yes.
felt like, okay, game on. This is what I came for. It felt like that, you know what I mean? That
Exactly.
now this pause,
Exactly.
it's going to allow so many people to be activated. Then there's people like Jason Estes, and there's lots of amazing people on Facebook
Yes.
that are following. And there's Jason just said that we just went through Lionsgate and everything. I
Yes.
think right before or right after, that now there were multiple timelines, which I
Yes.
usually see them, but he
Yes.
said it all collapsed to one.
Okay. Okay.
And
Awesome.
so that's why there's so much contrast, because there were holographic timelines that all these different mindsets
Right.
occupied, and now they're all in one, so they have to coexist, whereas before they could stay separate. And that's almost what you're seeing,
Okay.
is that, that's why you're seeing, no, my way is the right way, is because their hologram, their life, their world
Right.
has been in one path with all their other people. And if that's part of this game, whoever created this game,
Well,
do,
we're creating the game actually.
I
Yeah. I say we have to take back our power, and now's the very important time. That's why I use the word sovereign a lot this year. I've always said we're light, we're beings, divine beings of light. Now I always add the word sovereign. We are sovereign, and in truth, we are creating the game. Life is not happening to us; it's happening through us. And even though, yes, I use the yin and yang symbol a lot. It's equal, the dark and the light. And yes, the shadow part, we are creating that and we are giving permission to it. When we're in a state of fear, we are giving our permission to the shadow side to keep us down, to keep us in a low frequency, to keep us enslaved. But we have given that permission to them. So we can't even blame them because we gave them permission, because we're sovereign beings. And then when you take back your sovereignty, all you have to do, is say, I know I am a sovereign divine being of light, and nothing can touch you because you did not give your permission to it. You give your permission with fear. You give your permission when you think, oh, I'm just a little person and I don't have any power. You give your innate power away when you don't know who you are. And all you have to do is say, I know who I am, and no, you're not doing that to me. That's all.
Right,
No
right.
guns, you don't need guns, you don't need war, you don't need anything. The 99% of us just have to say to the 1%, no more. That's it. And it game over.
Yeah, that yes. So we're getting great comments here. So one thing I want you to know is Ray says keep sending out all the love vibes, and Tamara is saying she's going to be back. Okay, so Terry said, yes, I use sovereign as I believe our words have much power. They're spells, really.
Yes.
I am mindful of the words I speak and think. I wanted to also, Terry said, when you mentioned the whooshing, I have to share that I experienced my NDE in 2014, and I heard a very loud whooshing sound. So, Terry, we have to talk to you at some point and find out what happened with you. Terry's always on sending love on Facebook. She is just a beautiful soul. I think once or twice a day, she sends love to everyone. It's quite beautiful. But anyway, so as far as being sovereign and realizing it and helping people to that, you have these guests that are giving a more complete overview of what this reality really is, not the constructed media media conditioning programming. It really is programming.
Exactly. It is.
But the thing is, how do we get? Okay, so this may be a weird question. You ready?
I'm ready. I love questions. I love questions.
Okay, so I think that a lot of people that are telling the truth are just being called conspiracy people.
Yes.
So how do we get it out of conspiracy so that people will listen and benefit?
The first thing I would like to share, and this is knowledge people can look up. The term conspiracy theorist came from the CIA in 1964 after the Kennedy assassination. When
Wow.
people started questioning the Kennedy assassination in 1964, the CIA came up with the term conspiracy theorist to shame people. If you think it didn't happen the way we said it happened, you're a conspiracy theorist. That's the CIA.
Wow.
That term came from all conspiracy means is more than one person, two or more people getting together to do something, to create something that have an agenda. That's all the word conspiracy means. And then they throw the word theory. But in truth, when you do, I say, people, please do your own homework. That's why I don't watch the news. If I hear something I'm interested in, I do the research, and you can't always trust Google either. But I mean, I have to share to your listeners. I just watched a great documentary called Plandemic. It is censored, so you have to go to the website to listen to it. It is on it's on London Real Digital Freedom platform, where it can't be censored. And it was just released a few days ago, but this is where I learned about Google and their analytics and the truth about fact checkers. You cannot trust fact checkers. You have to do your own research. Like it's proven that the CIA came up with that term, conspiracy theorist, in 1964. You can do your own homework and find that out to be true. So I tell people, do their own research, and don't trust everything you find in the search engine or and don't just go to a fact checker.
Okay, so I'm conflicted a little bit about this. Give me a therapy session. Because I'm here to bring light.
Yes,
I know this stuff, and I'll go, okay, well, I know that, but I don't really know what to do with it, because that's not my job. I'm not here to fight. I'm here
right.
to illuminate. And to help launch the other teachers, so we wake up as many people to their divinity. That's
Exactly.
that's my deal.
Okay.
So when I know all this stuff, which I'm afraid I've known David Icke's work and all this stuff for, well, I mean, I studied the Law of One books, the
Yes.
raw books,
Ah,
uh,
yes.
probably 10, 15 years ago. So
Yes.
I've known a lot of this, but
Right.
I haven't known what to do with it, or why I know. And some of it is pretty it's polarity. It's so I don't know how. So
I
what do you
understand.
suggest?
I, I understand exactly what you're saying. So here in this, there's like three kind of major steps. You want to know, because
Right.
if we don't know the truth, if we don't know what's going on, and I would say you want to know the dark agenda, and
Uh-huh.
I've known since 2012, and if we don't know the dark agenda, we can get entrapped by it. We can get enslaved by it, because that's what the mass media, that's the news, is keeping us. The only way we enslave ourselves is giving over our innate power by being in a state of fear and keep being at a low vibration. And that's what the news is intentionally doing, keeping you at a low vibration. That's the only way the dark agenda, the 1%, can even touch you. They can't even see you when you're vibrating at a high vibration. They can't, because you can only see that of light vibration. This is science. And if you're up here, they can't even see you. So what your question is a very good question. So it is to know it, to know the dark agenda, and then to keep, the most important thing is to keep your vibration high. Even even with, because you're knowing that they're not separate from us.
Right.
They're a part of us. They're like, we each have a shadow side individually. We
Right.
are the dark agenda is humanity's shadow side.
That's
That's
right.
what it is. And what we want to do is shine our light. So we have to keep our vibration high. We have to shine our light. That's why I said, that's why I'm encouraging people, don't fight, don't argue. Because if you fight and argue and debate and try to say, I'm right, you're wrong, all you're doing exactly what they want you to do. They
Right.
know that we're aware of them now. They know that. They're like, oh, they kept us in the dark for a long time, but they know we're waking up to them, and they're like, okay, so now let's keep them separate. Let's keep them fighting each other, because if they fight each other, that's going to keep them exactly where we want them to be, at a low vibration. So that's why I say you share truth and love and light. So since March, I've been sharing this truth and love
Right.
and light, and keeping my vibration high and not argue. I'm like, okay, I have a relative that just all he listens to 24 hours a day is CNN. And
Yeah.
I, we have conversations. Now, I don't fight with him. We
Yeah.
have long conversations. I listen. He quiets down for a minute. He listens. He listens. At the end of the day, we don't agree on anything, but he's my cousin. I still love him. And I send him love and light. And I know
Right.
that we're all divine beings, and we all have a higher self. And
That's right.
our higher self will wake us up in that person's divine timing. And we are not all going to, from the soul level, we did not all choose to wake up in this lifetime.
Right.
Some people
I
did
just said
not.
this yesterday. I just said this to someone yesterday, because they were judging. And it was like everyone is a divine being that's here, and we have no idea what they selected for themselves for their experience this trip around.
Exactly.
Yep, yep, good, good, good. We
Exactly.
agree
And
on that.
remember, time is not real. Time, we look at time as linear. In truth, like you said from your experience, it's just a tiny, tiny, tiny part of us here.
Right.
The majority, the larger part of us, our higher self, is in spirit and is not here. So that's the majority of us. So we have to understand that little tiny part of them that decided to sleep and not wake up. Hey, I look upon them like babies sleeping. Can you be mad at a baby sleeping?
No.
That's how I look at them. And I've been using
Oh,
this analogy for 5 or 6 years. I interact with a person that is completely asleep. I send them love and light. Sometimes if they're gonna try to hurt you, you got to send them love and light from a distance. But you still send them love and light, and just, oh, that little baby is sleeping. Yeah,
yeah, and it's imperfection too. It's not. That's perfect. That's great. Oh well, we're almost out of time. Darn it. But we'll have to do this again because you are just a delight. You are just
thank you. Thank you
amazing.
so much, Kathy, for having me. I,
Oh yeah,
I
yeah. Well,
love, I,
and I wanted to also say that you were on the Ions
yeah,
weekend I just helped, and I got to MC,
yes,
and I got to do something on Friday night, and then I got to interview 3 different people that were all just amazing,
awesome.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
got
love that group.
on the panel. I got to be on the great panel, which was Grief and Loss, Journey to Healing. That is it. I love that. And I also got to moderate Reverend Norma Edwards, who is
Right.
on your
Oh, and her
set.
story is fabulous. I interviewed her on here too.
Yes,
And I kept when I was interviewing her, I kept getting chills and chills and chills. Yeah, she's amazing, amazing being.
yes.
Yeah, well, it's such a pleasure
Thank
to,
you.
and I'm sorry I didn't call you even earlier because Noelle and Bob had told me that I would love, love, love you.
Oh, no, everything, you know what? Everything works out in perfect divine timing. So this is perfect.
Yeah,
Everything,
yeah,
perfect
yeah.
divine
So
timing.
everyone, please check out awake to one onenessradio.org.
Yes,
And then Caroline is on Facebook also, so you can connect with her here. And Terry, I think we need to talk to you at some point here too. but anyway, thank you all for coming, and please share this. This is so pertinent to having joy and knowing that your journey is in divine order and that it's a gift,
yes.
and the victimization mindset can go away now.
And the most important thing, keep your vibration high, whatever you do. Don't try to argue or debate, because you tell yourself, if you're arguing and debating with a person, that means you're trying to impose your belief system on them. You have to let them be. They are a divine being of light. Let them be. Share in love and light. If they can't receive it in love and light, then you just have to back away.
Yeah, yeah, but it's all going to work out great. This is a movie, and the ending is fabulous.
Already, the light has already transformed the dark. See, it's, to me, I say it's not about light versus dark. No, it is light transforming the dark back to light, because we all are from the light.
Oh, and it says Diane says, my first exposure to Caroline. Thank you so much. What an infectious smile, and the light from her is beautiful. So you're a gem. Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much. Thank you. All right, we'll keep in touch. We're
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
keep
oh
in touch.
yeah, yeah. We're gonna do something.
Yes.
Bye bye.